This time, we are going to proceed to meter configuration. To be able to configure your meter, you need to have a Accuvim software, and you need a PC with USB port. The Accuvim software can be requested from the sales representative in Saudi Arabia. Another thing you need is an RS485 to Modbus converter, or any generic converter which can be bought from any computer shops. Just have to be an RS485 to USB converter. After receiving the software, install in your laptop. After Accuvim is installed, connect your meter to the RS485 USB converter, and then connect the USB of the converter to the USB port of your laptop. Once you have connected the converter to your PC, you have to follow the following procedures. Click the Accuvim icon, which in this case I already added in my taskbar. After clicking the icon, this window will open, and if it is first time you are using, there will be no contents over here. You will only see this button. Click this button, additional, and then you can name this connection settings. For example, I will name this as demo 2. Next is we have to define the type of the meter, or the model of the meter. To know the model of the meter, you have to see the side of your meter, and you can find a sticker that will show the model of the meter. As you can see, the last digit here is B4. It means we have to set B4 in our setting. Next, you have to set the communication protocol, which is Modbus RTU for the RS485. For the timeout and scale rate, you can keep the default value. For the number, you have to know which COM port you are using in your machine. To know the COM port number of the USB you have connected your RS485 converter, you have to go to your device manager, and then you have to click your ports COM LPT, and then here you can find the COM number of your USB where you have connected the RS485. As shown here, it is COM6. You then have to set here COM6. And then the slave here address is the slave address of your meter. The default slave address of each new meter is 1. However, for you to check what is the slave address of your meter, in case someone has already changed it, you have to go to the meter and find the slave address programmed in the meter. To be able to know what is the slave address of the meter, you have to press H and VA button simultaneously. And when this menu here is blinking, the meter is blinking, you have to press either P button or E button, and then press one more time until the setting is blinking. Once the setting is blinking on the top menu, press VA button, showing now address 001. Now you have identified what is the address. If you want to verify further, you can enter, go to System. In the S01 menu, submenu, it is showing address, and down here it is showing 001. After identifying what is the IP address, you have to exit the meter from the setting mode by pressing the first and the last button simultaneously. You will see that the setting label here on the top is blinking. Just press the E button until it reaches to the meter label, and then you can press the last and the first button simultaneously again to enter the you just have to press the last button to enter the metering mode. Now the slave address is defined, and here we have entered 1 like what is in the meter. Next is we have to define the baud rate. The default baud rate of each meter, new meters, are 19,200. However, if you like to check what is the baud rate set in the meter, in case someone has already changed the baud rate, is by the following procedure. Enter the setting menu by pressing the first and last button simultaneously. Press E multiple times until it goes to the setting mode. Press enter. It will show the address, and then it will show the password. The default password is 0000. Press enter. Press enter again to go to System. It will show the slave address, which is 001. Then press letter P to go to the next menu, which is S02. Here you will see the baud rate set at the default 19,200. Now you have determined what is the baud rate set in the meter. To exit the setting menu, press the first and last button together. Press E simultaneously multiple times. If you press E, the menu is going to the left. If you press P, it will go to the right. And then once it is in the meter, press enter to enter the metering mode. Once we have identified the baud rate, we can enter here the value, the baud rate, which is in the meter. In the meter also, the same menu, you will find the parity, which the default is none and bit 1. after all of the settings here are set, you can click Save button. It will show added. It will go, the one you have created will be added in the list of setting menu. Since demo 2 is the one we have set for this meter, appropriate to this meter, we will click here demo 2 and then we will click connect. Once it's connected, it will show here at the bottom success and 0 failure. The screen that will appear is as shown. Then what you need to do is click the system status down here. As you can see, the default time when a meter is new is year 2000, January 1. You need to click the set the time button. It will show set time successful. You will see that now it is synchronized to the time of the PC that you are using. After setting the time, once this time is verified correct, the date is correct, you need to click the setting button, which is over here, and then you need to click setting and then general, and then after clicking general you need to select the configuration of your load. If your meter is measuring a 3-phase 4-wire, you need to select 3-phase 3-element 4-wire Y here. And then if you change anything here in the setting menu, you need to click update for it to take effect or to be saved in the meter. You need to click the update button, which you can find here. Since the setting is already as default, it will show here nothing need to be updated. Click yes. The next thing you need to set is the PT ratio. If you are connecting the meter directly to the bus bar, as explained before, we have shown before two types of connection: meter directly connected to the bus bar without using a voltage transformer, and another is using a transformer in case that you are connecting directly to the bus bar, the meter voltage input. You just have to keep this value, as this is the line to neutral value. You can leave it as it is, 220, 220. Whatever value you put here, you can put also 380, 380. It will not affect as long as they have the same value. That means there is no transformation ratio. In case that you are using a voltage transformer, for example, the primary is 480 volts and the secondary of the voltage transformer is 120 volts. Just enter these values, primary voltage, secondary voltage, and then click update. Click yes. Update successful. But in the case that you are not using a transformer, we can keep it the same value. If you will use this meter for a three-phase single load, you have to keep it in the general, and then you can enter here the CT ratio. For example, you have a 1000 ampere CT, and it is an RCT. Then you just need to click update. You don't have to use this menu independent wiring if you are using a single three-phase load for the meter. But in the case that you are using this single channel meter for multiple single phase loads, whether it is line to line load or line to neutral load, for example, if you will use this meter for 4 loads, load 1 up to load 4, single phase, you need to enable this independent wiring function of the meter. And then you have to set over here what's the CT ratio. Example, you are using not a Rogojski type CT, but the MV type CT. For example, 150 amperes. Normally, these MV type CTs are used for 250 amperes and below, or up to 400. You can see here that there is input channel 1, input channel 2, channel 3 up to 4. Therefore, you can use these channels in different CT rating. For example, the first input you will put 150 ampere. For the second load, you can use a 250 ampere CT. Example, the third one is 100 ampere. The fourth one is 400 ampere in case you have different sizes of loads. Now, I have explained before that this meter can be used for single phase line to line loads or line to neutral loads. I have explained already previously about how to identify the phase of each load. For example, the load number 1, which you connected to channel number 1, your load is line to line 1 to line 2. After identifying using a voltage tester that the load 1 is line 1, line 2, you have to select here VAB, voltage for phase A and phase B. Now, for the second load, for example, it is line 1 and line 3, like we have shown in our example before. For a line-to-line load with phase A and phase C, you have to select VCA, like what is shown here, VCA. Normally, if your panel is line-to-line, all of the remaining will be typically line-to-line. You only have to identify what is the phases, and after identifying, you have to program using the last three available options, the BAB, BBC, and BCA. But in some cases that it is mixed load, line to line, for example, the first channel is connected to a line to line VAB load. The second channel is connected to a line to line, line 3 and line 1. And the third load is connected to a load line 1 to neutral. It is possible to combine line to line loads and line to neutral loads in 1 meter. After identifying that the third load is line 1 to neutral, you have to select VA. VA only. Example, the fourth load is identified as line 3, or let's use line 2 to neutral. You have to use V voltage space B, BV. Let us, for example, make a setting based on what is shown in the drawing. Here, channel 1 is connected to load 1. The input 1 of the meter is connected to load 1. Now the load 1 is a line to line, which is line 1, line 2. So we have to select here line 1, line to line means both AV, phase A and phase B. For the second channel, this load 2, which is phased line 1 and line 3. So in channel 2, you will select BCA, line 1, line 3, AC. The third channel is for load 3. The phasing of load 3 is line 2 and line 3. So for input channel 3, it is line 2 and line 3, means you have to select B, BC, voltage space B and C. Now for channel 4, it is connected to load 4. Load 4 is line 1, line 3. Channel 4 is line 1, line 3. Voltage phase C and phase A. That is how you will select the voltage channel ID based on the actual connection of your loads, of which phases they are connected. Don't forget to click the update button, otherwise all your changes will not be saved to the meter. Click update, click yes. Update successful. Now another example is if our load, single phase loads, are connected line to neutral as shown in the diagram. Here channel 1 is connected line 1 neutral. For channel 1 you need to set to voltage phase A. For line 2 for channel 2 it's connected to line 2 neutral. You need to set it to voltage phase B. For channel 3 it's connected line 3 to neutral, voltage phase C. And in channel 4 it's connected line 1 to neutral. You need to set it voltage phase A. Click update. Update successful. The next thing you need to set is the summation. of channel 1 configuration. There are two summations, channel 1 configuration and channel 2 configuration. For example, for channel 1 configuration, you only want to summarize your load number 1, load number 2, load number 3. You only need to click this 3, and if you like to exclude channel 4 in the summation of channel 1 configuration, leave it unchecked. For example, for the summation channel number 2 configuration, you need to summate all the values of all your loads 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to click all the 4 input channels. Then you need to click update. After you have set the general settings for independent wiring, you can proceed to data logging by clicking data log and then click data log number 1. So this is the logger number 1 as shown in the screen. This area are the parameters that you can select to be used for your data logging. Here's the title for each set of parameters. For the real-time metering, these are the parameters. As you can see that the right pane is still empty, so you have to manually select which parameter you like to be included in the data logging. This box will contain the selected data log parameters. For example, you like to make data logging for voltage phase A to neutral, phase B to neutral, phase C to neutral, and then voltage line 1, line 2, line 2, line 3, line 1, line 3. If you like to include the average, you can select the average and then you can click add. Now you can see that the selected parameters is added in the data log parameters. If you like to add more parameters, for example, the current, line 1 current, line 2 current, line 3 current, this is the channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3. You will observe that there is no channel 4 for the current. You can find the channel 4 current in another menu. You have to click the title bar here, and then you can go to dependent input channel metering. Everything related to the fourth channel you can find in this menu. This is the real time, this is the energy, and others are the total harmonics and harmonics. For the real time, you can find the channel 4 current over here. You can click add. Now all of the channels current is available here. Channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. If you want to add more real-time metering value, you can go back to the real-time metering menu. For example, you like to make data logging for the watts. For the active energy, you can select the channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. If you like to include also the VAR value, the reactive, you can select VAR A, B, C. And also, if in case you like to add the power factor for phase for channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, you can select them and add to the right menu. To add the VA, the kilowatt, and the power factor for the channel 4, everything related to channel 4, you have to go to this menu, independent input channel metering. Now you can select here the watts for the channel 4, the VAR, reactive power for the channel 4, and then the power factor for the channel 4. And then you can click add. So the channel 4 will also be here. Now, if you remember, we have set before the summation 1 and summation 2. Since we have selected all the channels in summation 2, we can click here the summation value if you like to make data logging for the value of the summation. For example, the total wattage of all the channel you can find here, and the total VAR and the total power factor. You can add it here. Normally only the power and only the VAR you are summarizing the values. Normally current should not be summarized for different loads. You can see only the average if you wish. You can see here that there is there is average for the summation of number 2 configuration, which is the sum to average current. Now, after selecting the parameters, the next thing you need to set is the logging interval. In target projects, normally they are requiring 15 minutes. The default is 5 minutes. Next is you have to set when the logging will start. If you keep the default over here, once you click the update, it will start the logging immediately. This means, for example, the time now is 7:42 in the evening. If I click start logging immediately now, it will start to log at 7:42, and then it will log the next value after 50 minutes, which is not the exact quadrant in the time hour, for example. But if you will click over here, start lagging time, if you like the lagging time to be the exact for every 15 minutes of the time, now it's 7:42, you can start, for example, at 8 in the evening, or let's say 7:45 in the evening. So that it will be exact every 50 minutes of the hour. It will lag next is 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, and so on. And then we can click update. If there is existing lagging values, it will be deleted whenever you change the data log settings. But this meter is new, so there is nothing to be deleted. We just click yes. Update successful. So we are expecting this meter to start the logs exactly for 50 minutes of each hours. To retrieve the data logs, you need to click the main the menu header reading, which you can find in this place, and then click data log menu. Since we have set the data logging in logger number 1, we have to select data log 1 reading. As you can see, you can find here used records, means there are already 6 logs with 15 minutes interval. To see what are those logs, you need to click read log, which you can find here. Then it will read the data logs with the timestamp shown here. If you will remember, we have set the time to be exact every 15 minutes. That's why here you can see from 7:45, 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30, and so on, exactly for each and every 15 minutes. Here on the top, you will see the parameters that you have set before in the data logging. All this you will see on the top over here, whichever you have logged. Since this meter is not connected to any bus bar, there is no voltage, and there is no CT connected, so there is no current reading and power readings. Just for trial purpose, we are taking the logs. You can see here, over here, the first record timestamp, and this is the last record timestamp. And here you can see there's a drop down here, in which if you like to download certain range of readings, for example, you like to download only the latest 50 records, or if you like to download only the last 1000 records or the 64,000 records, you can select whichever you desire. And also here you can define the which record number. This number corresponds to this number over here. Example, you have already downloaded the records from 1 to 1000 last time, and now you like to continue downloading the readings from 1001 to save the time. Then you can define the record number in which you will start the reading, and then you can click the read logs. Since this time we have only 6 records, you can define this in any number from 1 to 6, whichever is available. You can make it 2, or start from 5 record, or start from 6 records. You will try to put which is more than in the available record, you cannot enter the value. If you try to enter 8, it will not accept. After clicking the red log, and once the data log is displayed, you can save to file the readings that is displayed. Click save to file, which is over here, and then after clicking this button, this will appear. Just confirm, Yes. Do you want the data to have units? For example, do you like to have a letter A ampere unit for the current, V voltage unit, watts, and so on to be included in the report? If you click yes, then the units will be included in the report. Here you have to, it will suggest an automatic file name for the serial number of the meter, which data log recorder number, and the date and time. You can add or modify this file name if you desire. And then you can select also the location in your laptop.
باقي انت ما عندك جاكو افهم.
Click yes. Then you can visit that where you have created the folder. Here you can find the data log file. With the timestamp and exactly how it was displayed before. Now you have the data logs based on the parameters that you have selected. You can observe also that there are units for the voltage. It's shown V, A for current, kilowatt for the power, kVAR for the reactive power, and so on. And that is how the meter is configured and set for the data logging and download the data logs. Other information you can find here is you can see the time is correct. And if you want to see the device information, you have to go to settings, click device information, and it will show the information about the device, the serial number, the type, models, firmware version, and other information. If you like to save a file for the configuration and all the settings that you have done to your laptop, you can go to Operation, Export Configuration, and you can select which settings that you like to save to your laptop. So if you select all, it will save a record of all the settings for this meter. In case somebody changed something inside the meter and you just like to restore it to exactly how you have configured it, you just have to import again the file and it will return to the original setting that you have done. So click export and then you can select again the location. The extension is .conf.cld for the configuration files. This is useful also that if you have the typical situation scenario in the other meters with the same city ratio and same phase and same data logging, you can just import this configuration file to another meter. For example, you have opened another meter already. You can import the configuration that you have done. Just browse to the location where you have saved the configuration, select, open, and then you can select also which parameters and configuration you want to import. In this case, let's select all, but you can individually remove also whichever you don't like to import. It's taking a bit of time. As you can see here, the status, it's 5/14. So next time that you are going to import the configuration, it's better to select only whichever you like to import. Like for example, the data logs. Normally data logging file is typical for the meters, but for the other settings like the city ratio and the phase phasing in the voltage, normally they are different for the case of single phase loads using the meter as multi-channel. Now it's in the 14/14. It's almost done. Now it's completed. What will happen if you import a configuration? The meter will restart by itself after you click the yes button. The meter will disconnect to this software Accuvim 2, and you have to manually power up also the meter to ensure that the configuration will be applied successfully to the new meter with new configurations. So you can see that the screen is empty because the meter is disconnected. I'm gonna power off the meter and turn it on after approximately after 10 to 15 seconds. After approximately 10 to 15 seconds, I'm gonna switch on now the meter. After the meter has been switched on, we can now again connect to the meter. Click add new meter, select the setting which is suitable or corresponding to the setting of your meter and click connect. Again, it will go to this page whenever you enter the meter. Another thing that you have to check in case it fails to connect, especially for the first time, is that maybe the setting is not matching with your laptop. For you to check if your connection setting is matching to the laptop, you have to go to device manager and see your setting in the ports COM. This is the COM6 where your USB RS485 converter is connected. Double click and then go to port settings. Just ensure that the bytes per second is matching with your setting in your connections. As you can remember that we set before to 19,800 and parity is none and stop bit is 1. Once again, just to see the data logs, click to reading, go to data log 1, read log. This time you cannot see any record, it's showing here 0, because whenever you make a new parameterization in the data logging, it will reset the records. So it is always a safe practice that whenever you will change something in your data logging, if you will add any information here or any parameter, you first have to download whatever is the existing reading before changing in any setting here in the data logs or before importing any configuration, because if you input configuration and it includes the data logging, then it will erase the existing data logs. Okay, basically those are the steps to configure the parameterization and for the data logs and for downloading the data logs. Thank you for listening.